Do this. Alright, I know this is all catch-up work, but you guys are gone for 4 days, right? So we're still here on the pool. This is part 2 of the pool. So we found the surface area of the sides. Now we're going to find the surface area of the base. But to find the surface area of the base, we have to break the... Oh, you kidding me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
1 for 2 or 0 for 2?
Oh, I'm here. Oh, that's me.
That was behind the...
Yeah. Bala, no.
Yeah, you didn't make it.
It didn't make
You
it?
didn't make it.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Alright.
Did you record your failure?
You know, they right. Is it recording?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, alright. Don't worry, I hit that. Alright.
I gave you back the dollar. But I still have it.
Okay, I'll hit it next time. My hip's hurting today. Come on now. Alright. Alright, so what that means is we got to come out with these triangles. Right? All these triangles. Right? Now when you do these triangles here, what you notice about these triangles are the bases are all the same, but the length is not the same length as this base, is it? Because they're all different. Because some of your bases are 10, some of your bases are 3, and, right? But what we did notice, and what has to be the same, is that these are the radii, right? Because this is a regular this is a regular polygon. The radii, what's called the radius of a polygon, they're all going to be the same. It's like a radius of a circle. Does that make sense? Because it's regular, it's like a circle, but with sides. Does that make sense? And in calculus, this is how we break down curves. Is we actually look at curves with pieces. So we start with the worst piece, triangle. Then you work it up to a square. Then you go to a pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon, icosagon, circle. You see what I'm saying? Okay? And so I get closer and closer and closer to looking like a circle. Alright? Now, but what we do know is that this is a isosceles triangle. Why is it isosceles? 2 sides are the same. That's it. Okay? So we know that it's isosceles. I don't know how to spell it, sorry. Isosceles. That's totally wrong. Okay.
Isosceles.
Yeah, don't write that down. I'll have to look it up. Google. Yeah, this is pathetic. Teacher can't spell. Isosceles. Oh yeah, that's why.
Isosceles of a triangle having 2 sides of equal length.
Do you?
No.
What is it?
See? If I can't spell, look it up. Alright. So, beach. Oh, I'm not getting that. Okay. So, we got an isosceles triangle. What that means is these angles have to be the same. Because the sides are the same, the angles are the same. So if those angles are the same, well dang it, that means these angles have to be the same. Right? So if those angles have to be the same and these angles have to be the same, that means that these angles are the same. Since these bases are the same, then does that make sense? Right? So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, that means this whole angle can be split in half. Right? And that's how we come up with our half angle. Okay? 64.28571429. Okay? And that is our half angle. That is the angle of our triangle. Okay? Now this is where it gets complicated, okay? Because we have this triangle. My base is 3, right? My base is 3. But, did you give me that pin? Oh, thank you. But my half base. Now why do I care about my half base? Why am I caring about my half base? Because when I take a look and I make a right triangle, I want to make this into a right triangle, right? Which means I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to cut this angle in half. What I'm going to do is cut this in half. So I'm going to have 1.5 and 1.5. So if you're at 10, you're going to have 5 and 5. If you're at 8, you're 4 and 4. If you're at 7, you're 3.5 and 3.5. You feel me? Alright. So, now I know my side. Now I know my angle. My angle is 64. Don't stop with 64. It isn't going to work for us, okay? We need to know the whole angle, okay? So we're going to use that whole angle to figure out our side. Now to figure out the side, because we got to figure out this area. I can't figure out that area if I don't know the area of a triangle. What's the area of a triangle? Area of a triangle. Just the basic area of a triangle. Remember, area of a rectangle is length times width, right? Base times height?
Base times height.
Yes, ma'am. Base times height divided by 2 because it's half of a rectangle, right? So it's base times height divided by 2. Okay? So, if I know my base, which I do, right? Here's my base. If I know my height, which I don't, that's the hard part. But, now remember, I'm teaching you SOHCAHTOA in the beginning of geometry. What? Who does that? Crazy teachers. Well, only people like me. But it's okay. Because I'm going to teach it to you now. Right? And then when we get to it at the end of the year, you're going to be like, oh man, this is easy. We've been doing this all year. Right? There's method to this madness. I'm not this crazy. Or I might be. Okay, so. SOHCAHTOA. Okay? SOHCAHTOA. So, we got to know what that means. What does SOHCAHTOA mean, right? So a lot of us are in here again, so we already know what this means, right? But let's go over it like we don't. So if I have a right triangle, okay? And I have an angle, theta or whatever. What SOHCAHTOA is broken up to be is that we have the opposite side, right? O. We have the adjacent side, ADJ, right? Adjacent. Adjacent meaning next to. I'm next to your camera. I'm pretty too. Okay, so, and then we have hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Alright? Okay, so the hypotenuse, some people call it the slanted side. The slant side, right? So, hypotenuse is kind of hypotenuse. This is the one I do remember because I, trained my brain. Because it's a weird spelling. Everything's weird in math. Spells all like weird, like height. Freaking remember how to spell height. I have to look that up every time. Is it I before E, except after C, or is it with the name? No! It's E-I. Why is it spelled that way? I don't know. Alright, so we got hypotenuse. Okay? And then some people call it the slant side. Okay? Alright, the slant side. Alright? So write that down because you need to know this all year long. Okay? So we know that this is our hypotenuse. Right? But what we're looking for is our height. Remember I said this thing was spelled weird? I spelled that right? E before I? Even though I want to put the I first. I think it's EI, right? But this isn't a height. Because from here, this is the opposite. OPP. How can I explain it? Take it, frame it, frame it. Well, yeah, you thought I was white, huh? No, they call me white chocolate. Okay, so come down. So we got the opposite. We got the hypotenuse. And then what's this side then? What's this side? Come on. Hypotenuse. Height.
Adjacent.
Adjacent. Okay? So we have our adjacent. Now the adjacent is not our base. It's our half base. Right? So we have our adjacent. Okay? So the way this rule goes by saying is, well, what I always tell my students is circle what you have and circle what you want. What do I have? I have adjacent. What do I have? I have an angle. That's it. Okay, what do I want? I want the height or the opposite side. If you circle what you have and you circle what you want, it works every time. Okay? So now I look at SOHCAHTOA and I go, what deals with adjacent and opposite? Is it SO, KA, or TOA? So which one has O and A in it? TOA. So we're using tangent. So that means that the tangent of 64. Now we're going to use 64.28571429. Don't get it confused. Always use on degrees. We're always using the whole number. Okay? Never, in my class, never round off. Now if the test tells you to round off by the nearest tenth, then do that. Does that make sense? But in my class, we're always going to keep the degree, whole, sides, nearest tenth. Does that make sense? Okay? Alright. So then, what's that equal? Opposite. What's the opposite side? The height. We're just going to call it H. Okay? Over the adjacent, which is, in my case, 1.5. But in your case, it might be 3. It might be 6. It might be 7.5. It might, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's take a look at Kiana. Boom. Her half side's going to be 3. You feel me? So where I have 1.5, you're going to have 3. Right? You're going to have 5.5. Okay? Alright, we good? Alright. So, now, how do I solve for H? What do I do? How do I get a number alone? Always do the opposite. If it's dividing, times. So I'm going to multiply by 1.5. But what I do to one side, man, you guys are good. And I think I just hurt myself. I may need my cane. Okay, so 1.5 tangent of 64 point blah 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 equals height. And then that's what I plug into my. Alright, hand me my cane. I went too far. Alright. It's okay. I'm not old. I'm just crippled. It's all good. Okay. So, alright. So I got 1.5. Not 0.5. Come on. 1.5. No, 1.2. God, big fat fingers. Alright, 1.5 times tangent of 64 point what? 2857 1429 in the parentheses equals, what I get is 3.114. So remember, we're rounding off the sides, right? So that means that my h is equal to 3.1 since it's 1, 1. Since it's 3.11, that 1 keeps it a 1. If it's a 4, it keeps it a 1. But if that 1 were a 5, it changes to a 2. Or a 6 or a 7. You see what I'm saying? Alright? So we all know how to round off. Okay? That's my height. Okay? To find, I know, I want your attention. I know how to use the cane. Alright, so to find the area, what is it? The area is equal to the base times the height. What is our base? Oh, son of a beach, I just hit myself in the hurt spot. Okay, but think about this. We have a half base already, right? So technically, you could take your half base times the height and find the area of the triangle. Does that make sense? Because you already divided it by half. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay? Okay? You got that? So one of the two things. You take your base times your height. That's 3 times the 3.1 divided by 2. Or you make it easier and you take your half base 1.5 times your height 3.1. I get 4.65. Alright, now area is equal to 4.65. Okay? Now I'm going to keep that. I don't know, what did I round the area to? Does it tell you? Let's keep the area as big as possible. Okay? Since we already rounded off, it'll be rounded off somewhere. Okay? Alright, so that's my area. That's the area of my triangle. 4.65. How many triangles are there? Huh? How many sides? 7. How many triangles? 7, right? Alright, it's okay. That's why I'm asking. Okay, so since there's 7 sides, there's going to be 7 triangles. So we're going to take this number and we're going to times it by 7. And we're going to get our area of our base is 3255. So 32.55. Right? And now if I add these two, that's going to be the surface area of my polygon, or the total surface area that I'm going to paint, right? So the total surface area is, for me, plus 126